Hi, this is Jared French. Back when I started History 701 in October, my muse, or absorbing thought as I'm doing these history studies, is 18th century Baptists. Particularly, what is their underlying theology and motivation to get involved, to get engaged in developing a nation found on liberty? And some of this is driven by the fact because words and concepts change, and I want to understand what did liberty mean to them. And so the 6 weeks of this class has solidified my desire, and I want to use this as an anchor point for exploring American founding and American religious history development. Now, speaking of Muse, I was out in Project Muse. Project Muse is a database of books and journals from distinguished university press and scholarly societies. And I was out there to look at other research, what methodology, what sources. And I want to share how this look in Project Muse has added 2 books to my reading list. The first comes because of a review by Jacob Blauser in the Journal of Social History. Blauser reviews When Darkness Falls on the Land of Light, Experiencing Religious Awakening in 18th Century New England by Douglas Winiarski. From this review, it sounds like Winiarski's argument is, his presentation is fascinating. It dives into vernacular. It looks at how religion and society use language in pre-1740 Congregationalists compared to post-1740 revival and evangelical hits the ground. That kind of language hits the ground. And so the reviewer Blauser points out the strength of this book lies in the exhaustiveness of its research. You get well-known figures like an Isaac Backus, Jonathan Edwards, but then you get a large number of everyday New Englanders. And to my delight, the book is of full access available in JSTOR. Now, the second book from Project Muse that Project Muse Search made me aware of was J. Stanley Lemon's 2019 book, Retracing Baptists in Rhode Island's Identity, Formation, and History. This stood out because here's a narrower look at a religious development estate. And I put it on my reading list with another recommendation I get from this class from Dr. Schultz about Rez Isaac's Transformation of Virginia, 1740-1790. So I kind of got these different books on kind of a narrow view of these developments within the state, religiously so. Now, there's no full access to Lemon's books, so I'm going to have to work at getting my hands on it, but in EBSCO search, I found a book review in the Baptist History and Heritage from 2020. The reviewer says this presentation can be rough at times from Lemon. He can get bogged down, use a dozen examples when maybe a handful would have been sufficient. Maybe even a little getting bogged down in his denominational preference. Lemon writes from an American Baptist perspective. But the reviewer praises that this work is useful for graduate researchers because of the extensive, well-organized notes. There's 180 pages. And so this is my preview of how my reading list has changed because of my going out to Project Muse. I'm going to add Darkness Falls on the Land and Retracing Baptists in Rhode Island. And, anytime I add a book to my reading list, do this, I'm mindful of Ecclesiastes 12:12, where it says, "My son, be warned, there is no ending to making many books, and much study that weariness the body." And so I hope I showed kind of like how I work through book reviews and reading abstracts like you probably do as well, to kind of say, I can only read so many books. I need to have human limits and make sure I save time that I'm going and get nourished from Jesus and getting my answers from there as well while I'm doing this historical research. And so I hope to engage with you on the discussion boards. See you then.